Well, good morning and welcome to the Rivers online worship experience. My name is Dean Ward and I'm the lead pastor of the River Church. And I want to invite everyone from our New Kensington location, everyone from the River Franklin Park, and everyone who enjoys our services online. I want to welcome you to our service this morning. It's with great anticipation that I look forward to sharing this message with you. And so just to give you, oops, I just bumped my windscreen off. Hold on. Okay, now I'm going to try to put it back on. There we go. Sorry about that, but we're very committed to just one take on the message. So, hey, I want to give you a little glimpse to back in the day. So today, my secretary printed my preaching notes, and I went down to the office to pick them up. And Matt, who films with me, he was sitting on the couch in the entrance of the church sleeping. When we woke him, we said, "What's going on?" He goes, Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading through your sermon notes, and they were so boring, I fell asleep. They caused me to go to sleep. Now, he was just kidding, or maybe not. You be the judge. But it took me back to 1989, straight out of college, my first preaching assignment. It was actually the fall of 1988. I was a stand behind the pulpit, kind of just monotone kind of communicator. And a guy that became a good friend of mine, he said, "Dean, you need to move around a little bit when you preach." I'm like, well, they really didn't encourage us to do that in college in our preaching classes. They said stand like a Baptist minister behind the podium and preach from there. And he goes, "Well, Dean, look at my dog there." And I said, "Yes." He said, "Now, see how he's sleeping on that rug?" He said, "Yes." He said, "You know he's there. You don't have to pay any attention to him because you know in 5 minutes you'll look and he'll still be there." He said, "But if the dog was up and about and running around, then you'd have to pay attention to him. You couldn't keep your eyes off him. You'd be riveted to what he's having to say." And he goes, "That's why you need to move when you preach." Later, his wife was like, "I cannot believe you just compared the young preacher to a dog." So, taking my friend's advice, I'm going to move, okay? I'm going to move and show you our car show banner. So our car show is 2 weeks from today. It's the River's 17th annual car show. Now, this isn't just any car show. This is 150 vehicles on our lawn. We're moving our entire church service outside at 10:45. Let's see where it is. Yes, outside church service, 10:45. Our band will be out there. I'll have a car-themed sermon that I'll be preaching, and really excited about this. And then right after the message, right after the service, we're going to feed everyone for free. Sometimes that's over 1,000 people for free. And then we're going to give the awards away a little bit earlier, probably 1:30, maybe even 1 o'clock on Sunday. And it's a great time at the car show. And so I want to invite you, and I'm going to move around just a little bit. My camera guy said I can move, so hopefully you won't fall asleep. Okay, there you go. It's enough shenanigans. So I thank you for the umbrella of grace that you give me to just get some of that out at the very beginning of the message. Well, today we are in part 4 of our series of messages, just simply called Lost Cause. And we're looking at the cause that Jesus came for. He came for the lost. And so this series is called Lost Cause. Or maybe you're hearing this message and think, well, I'm a lost cause. I need this message. Or maybe you feel like reaching the lost is a lost cause. Well, I just want to be clear again. This series of messages was inspired through Dave Ferguson's theme at the Exponential Conference this spring down in Orlando called Lost Cause. And on Right Now Media, they have made available resources and study guides and small group material. And we've incorporated a lot of that into this series, and we have found it very, very helpful. And today, I want to remind us again of Jesus' commitment to the lost in Luke 19, verse 10, when he says, "For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." That's his cause. And that's what you are in, and I are invited to join him in his lost cause. His cause of reaching the lost. And so this entire series, the first 3 messages, this one today and next week, all 5 messages are designed to help us seek and to save those who are lost and to join in with Jesus' lost cause. So today's sermon, I changed it just at the last minute. Today's sermon is a statement that changed my life. You ready? The title of today's message is just simply called, "I Love Lost People." Now, I want to invite you to sit with that statement for a minute. I mean, the first time I heard a pastor make that statement, I thought, is that even legal? Are we even allowed to love lost people? Aren't we just called to love the brothers and sisters and those who are like us? And this pastor's inspiring, persistent reminder of his love for lost people inspired me. It changed me. It helped me love people far from God. And when I say I love lost people, I don't just love them when they're about to take the step of faith across the line of faith and pray the sinner's prayer to get saved. I love them even when they're so far from God that you wonder if God even knows their name. I love lost people. I love every step of the journey. I love helping them take one step closer to him, even if they're still in really negative territory toward God. I love lost people. And I want to be crystal clear to you. You will never fully embrace God's lost cause, and you will never feel fully at home at the river unless you are willing to love lost people. Because lost people matter to God. That's why we do this silly car show. Yes, I called it a silly car show. Because lost people love cars. And lost people are more likely to come to a church that puts on a car show and moves their service outside than they are to a church that just says, hey, come and join us. We're doing our best to speak their language and to value what they value because we value them. So if you don't love lost people, you're never going to feel at home at the river, because the driving energy and calling behind the River Church is to help people on their journey back to God, to reach lost people with the good news and saving grace of Jesus Christ. Okay, I will get off of my pedestal. That's my soapbox. I will preach that early, often, and forever. And I want to invite you, and I hope that you will commit to loving lost people too. Now, it's partly sunny or partly cloudy, whichever way you see it, so my glasses will come up and down quite a bit during this. Witnessing starts with love. Reaching the lost starts with love. Loving lost people just like Jesus did. When you love people unconditionally, guess what? They begin to notice. If there's one thing I'm so proud of the River Church, is when you come in our church service, people feel loved. People feel valued. Now, they may be annoyed that you're invading their space, but they will not leave not feeling loved on some level. What does it look like to love people the way Jesus did, especially those who don't yet know Christ? Well, let's consider what our lost neighbors are looking for from us. When Barna Research Group asked some non-Christians what they valued most in someone they might talk about spiritual matters, those who responded in the survey, they shared the following 3 traits that they wished that those who would converse in spiritual matters with them, what they would exhibit. First of all, they said they'd be willing to talk to someone who would listen without judgment. They can smell your judgment if you have it. Now, listening without judgment means inviting them to tell you their story and not judging it, just listening. Because if you're able to shut your mouth, did I just say shut your mouth? I did. I just said shut your mouth and listen. You will notice that if you listen without judgment, their heart will open up more to you. Now, try really hard not to let your jaw drop and hit the floor or gasp or let what they say take your breath away, because if you really listen, you'll hear some jarring stuff. But they're looking for someone who will listen without judgment. Secondly, they're looking for someone who will allow them to draw their own conclusions. Nobody likes having a conversation if the number one goal of the conversation is to manipulate and force them to feel the way you do. And they want the respect from the person they're having a conversation from that will allow them to draw their own conclusions. And we're not really good at that, because for some reason, as Christians, we feel threatened by somebody that doesn't believe what we believe and think like we think and behave like we behave. And so, believers, followers of Christ, we can do a lot better at giving people that think and believe differently the space to draw their own conclusions, even if they're different than ours. And thirdly, they're open to having spiritual conversations with someone confident in sharing their own perspective. They want to hear someone who believes what they believe and is able to communicate it in a non-threatening way that is helpful, that helps give them a little understanding. And so these are 3 traits that mark the kind of person that non-believers are willing to have a conversation with about spiritual matters. Now, I want to take a minute and just show you how Jesus, the master of these conversations, did this in Mark chapter 10. In Mark chapter 10, verses 17 through 24, we see this conversation with Jesus that he had with someone known as the rich young ruler. Let's take a moment and look at this. Verse 17, it says, as Jesus started on his way, a man ran up to him and fell on his knees before him. Now, that is so evident that this man had an urgency about him. He wanted his questions answered. He wanted this troubling in his soul to be worked out. He wanted to know what Jesus had to say about this matter. He fell on his knees before him. Good teacher, he asked, what must I do to inherit eternal life? So this guy, he was ready. He was urgent. He wanted to know. I love how Jesus in verse 18 says, "Why do you call me good?" Jesus answered, "No one is good except God alone." Now, theologians think that there may be some interplay here where Jesus is saying to him, do you really think that I'm God? Because I am. Do you really believe that I am who I claim to be? No one's good but God, and you just called me good teacher, so what's up with that? So Jesus is kind of drawing him in by asking a question back at him. And then Jesus pivots and says in verse 19, you know the commandments. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony. You shall not defraud. Honor your father and mother. Teacher, he declared, all these I have kept since I was a boy. Now notice how Jesus begins with the last 6 Ten Commandments, the only ones that deal with our relationship with each other. This guy had the do not harm commandments down pat. But notice how Jesus is starting with where the guy is. He starts with where he is. Jesus knows which ones he's really good at and which ones he's been neglecting. He starts with where the guy is, and he acknowledges and accepts where he is, and then invites him where he needs to go. I love the way verse 21 shows the heart of this matter. Verse 21 just simply says, Jesus looked at him and loved him. Now this man was religious but lost. He was a lost person that mattered to Jesus, and Jesus loved him. Boom. There's Jesus' love on display. Then Jesus continues in verse 21. One thing you lack, he said. Go sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me. Jesus is leading him into the first commandments. He's leading him into, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not take my name in vain. You shall honor the Sabbath and keep it holy. Jesus is leading him into the 4 first commandments about his relationship with God. But then he cycles back to sell your possessions, come and follow me, because money was his God. So he came back to the first commandments related to our relationship with God. Now watch how verse 22 pivots. At this, the man's face fell. He went away sad because he had great wealth. Now, let's just be honest. This is the response you will get sometimes. This man was ready for the pickings. If Jesus has said, say the sinner's prayer, Jesus, I ask you to come into my heart, forgive me of my sins. I know you will die on the cross to pay for my sins and become my ultimate sacrifice. I accept your free gift of salvation. Please adopt me into your family and take me to heaven when I die. The man would have prayed that, but Jesus went right after what was between him and God. And he went away very sad. And guess what Jesus didn't do? He didn't go chasing after him. He didn't say, oh, wait. You might have misunderstood me. I need another convert today. Come back. Let's talk and reason together. No. Jesus honors his free will. He clearly walked away knowing what needed to happen, knowing what was in the way. Now, let's be honest, we don't know where his journey ultimately ended up, but we do know that he knew what Jesus was asking for, and it was more than he was willing to give. Now, interestingly and tragically, Even though Jesus navigated this conversation by showing these three characteristics. The same Barna respondents who responded to the survey, who desired conversations with Christians who had these three traits: someone who would listen without judgment, someone who allows us to draw our own conclusions, and someone confident in sharing their own perspective. Unfortunately, they said they didn't know any Christians like that. Even though they would have conversations with Christians who were able to do these three things, they said, but we don't know any Christians like that. So could we take that kind of as our mission, to be that kind of person with those kind of traits, willing to listen without judgment, willing to allow others to draw their own conclusions, and willing to share why we believe what we believe without being threatened or threatening? Why is that? Why is it that we are so poor at sharing this good news of Jesus Christ and engaging relationally with lost people? Why are we so poor at it? Perhaps we've been confused that our only calling is to convert others. That's not our only calling. As a matter of fact, we'll show you in just a little bit that our calling goes back to even the time of Abraham. And we are called to be a blessing. We are called not only to convert, and not begin by blessing. We are called, we're confused thinking that we're only called to convert and that we're not called to start by being a blessing. There, I said it right that last time. Or maybe we're wanting to bless and convert simultaneously. Hey, here's a very funny video that I want to invite you to enjoy. Now, this video, it's funny and yet uncomfortable at the same time. It's a video of a couple trying to serve and bless their neighbor, and yet they're just really not clear on the importance of simply, naturally, and relationally being a blessing. This video is called Meet the Sanders, Serving the Heathens.
Hi! It's your neighbors, Jim and Joanna Sanders.
From next door.
How are you? Hey, we totally know that you don't like going to church with us, so we're not even here to invite you to church, all right? Well, we're not even here to tell you the 4 little happy hops to heaven.
We're not even here to sell you fire insurance. You know, from down there.
Get that hell?
Yeah.
No. Hey, honestly, what we want to do right now is we just want to serve you through the blood of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Huh? That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Okay, don't be afraid.
Hold the phone. Now, we know that you don't get us.
No.
And why should you? You're a heathen.
That's
we get
right.
that, all right?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is just be here to understand you and to serve you in some ways. You know, what can we do for you? That's what Jesus asked all the time. Now, we noticed on your mailbox that you had some balloons out there. Did someone die? Can we offer some condolences?
No. Oh, you had a baby.
Oh. Pink means joyfulness. I get it.
I told you.
Okay, now how about this? Can we wash something for you? You're probably tired.
That's a great
Maybe we
idea.
could wash your dishes.
Yeah, or wash your car.
Wash the lawn. Wash the mailbox. Wash the dog.
Oh, he said wash the dog.
We could even wash the washer for you.
Wash the
Not.
Oh, he said not.
I love putting that word at the end of a sentence.
Oh, do it again.
I got nothing. Not. You see what I did? I brought the comedy back around. I'm sorry. No, really. How about we not do any of that, but we just come to do what we should do, and let us just wash your feet.
Yeah, because you know, wait, hang on. I'm not done. Jesus washed the disciples' feet, and so we want to wash your feet.
Yeah, we know you're not our disciple. Yet. Hold on. Here, look at me here. All right, what I'm going to do is, I just got this water basin here, and I just want to wash your foot.
Yeah.
All right, now stick out your
So
big
put it
toe.
out
Just
there.
stick out your big toe.
Hang on, no.
This will be over in just a minute. If you
Yeah,
just
it just takes a second.
Okay, now I got the shoe. Now just give me your toe.
Yeah,
all right?
just
Come on,
put
just
the
give me your.
toe-
Well, that's a fine howdy do.
I know.
All right, well, we'll just leave the shoe here.
We'll leave the brownies.
I guess we'll go next door.
Okay, can I talk more this time?
It's not your place, baby.
Okay.
What a friend we have in Jesus.
I hope you enjoyed that video and maybe you found it a little challenging and uncomfortable because you envision if you were trying to witness, it might turn out like that as well. So I want to speak to that in just a moment, but I want to welcome you back to Forzo Motor Cars where we filmed last year. This year we're going to film outside in front of two spectacular cars that are for sale. First of all, this 1974 Mercedes 450 SEL you can have for the low price of $6,999. Okay? So if that floats your boat, it does need a little work. The leather's a little, 50, 45 years old, but it's a beautiful car. Or perhaps you're more of a BMW guy. This is the BMW 540i 2003. Now you can buy this baby for an easy $9,500. Now maybe you're watching and thinking, Pastor Dean, I think you might have missed your calling. You should be a used car salesman. I'll stick to preaching the gospel. Thank you very much. So, if that video just made you a little uncomfortable, let me help you. Let me share an eye-opening study. For his doctoral dissertation, author Mark Russell created a research project called Blessers versus Converters. This study was based on 6 businesses as mission organizations led by missionaries to Thailand. 3 of them by blessers and 3 of them by converters. They were all strong Christians who wanted to see people come to faith. But they had 2 distinctly different strategies. The converters group went with the sole intention of converting people and evangelizing. That was their only goal. Their goal was to save souls. The blessers group, those called to be blessers, they explained their intention was to bless whoever God sends our way. They focused on doing acts of service and building businesses to bless the Thai people, and then taking opportunities that came along to share their love for Jesus. The study followed both groups for 2 years. At the end of that time, Russell's research revealed 2 key findings. First of all, the presence of the blessers in the community resulted in tremendous amounts of social good. It appeared, according to this study, that this group contributed to the betterment of society, community life, economic growth, and the creation of social capital. The presence of the converters, however, seemed to make no difference in these areas. The second discovery, and this one will blow your mind, it was surprising, was that the blessers saw 96 conversions to faith in Christ, while the converters saw only 2. Those who were trying to be a blessing to people saw almost 50 times as many conversions of those who were only trying to convert them, only trying to save souls. The bottom line is that the best way to accomplish Jesus' mission of reaching people far from God is for his people to become blessers of others. Be a blessing. Now, hold on, wait a second. This is sounding a whole lot like the social gospel back in the 20s and 30s and all that. And, Well, I just want to invite you to know that I couldn't be saying it any clearer or stronger. Be a blessing. Be a blessing to others. That is what we are called to be all the way back to the time of Abram's calling to be God's chosen people. You ready? Let's look at the Abrahamic covenant, this calling on Abram's life, who became Abraham, in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. Now I want you to listen to all of this. The Lord had said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." Verse 3, "I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse." Now don't miss this last statement. "And all the peoples of the earth will be blessed through you." Jesus lets Abram know, and he becomes later known as Abraham, know that he will be a blessing to the entire world, and then through him the entire world will be blessed. And I was taught that just meant kind of through Jesus saving souls and reaching mankind for Jesus Christ and saving souls. That's how God blessed the whole world, through Jesus. But it's so much bigger than that. Because as we look at Jesus being called to be a blessing, Jesus lets us know when he went to heaven, when he ascended, that we are now the blessers. He said to his apostles and his followers, "Even greater works than what you have seen me do, you will do. And you will be a blessing." Now, I just have to let you know this as well. If you're not comfortable being part of a church that is laser focused on being a blessing to everyone that it can be a blessing to, don't come to the river. You won't like it. You won't feel at home because you're not the number one customer. You're not the highest priority. The wind is blowing my shirt all around. The number one priority is to seek and to save the lost and to be a blessing to as many people as we can be. Jesus says it this way in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5:6. He says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds, the good works that you do, the good things you do, and glorify your Father in heaven." Ephesians 2:10 reminds us when Paul writes, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works." What do good works do? They bless others, which God prepared in advance for us to do. I love the way one translation says, these good works that God prepared before the foundations of the world for us to do. This has been God's plan for his people to be a blessing. And so I want to invite you to bless. Now, we're going to just wrap this up with a real simple application. And it comes with the word bless, B-L-E-S-S, used as an acronym. Okay, you ready? Here's how you can be a blessing. First of all, begin. The B in blessing is begin with prayer. I want to invite you to make a list of all the people that you would like to see come to faith in Jesus Christ. I want you to name them. I would invite you to start with your neighbors, those that are closest to you, that live in the most proximity to you. Begin with them. I want to ask you to begin with prayer. Pray for them. Make a list. Identify who it is that you are bringing before the Lord, asking Him to use you to be a blessing, to use you to be a witness, use you to be a force in helping them find and follow Christ. Secondly, L in blessing is listen. Listen with care. If you learn how to listen and listen well, people will open up to you and share with you kind of their pathway to their soul for Christ to reach, for you to bless, for them to trust in Him. So I want to invite you to listen well, listen with care. The third is E, and that's eat together. Just eat together. Now this is huge, because when we eat together, we're on common ground. No one has the upper hand over food. We learn about each other, our culture, our cultural backgrounds, our likes and dislikes. Eating together establishes common ground. It's also a universal activity. Guess what? Everybody eats. Everybody. We all have to eat regardless of our culture or spiritual background. As we eat with others, we begin to forge a connection that allows us to overcome preconceptions and social stereotypes. As we eat, we engage in social equality. Eating together implies social equality. You see this in Jesus' interactions when He's blamed for eating with sinners. He turned the social order quite upside down by eating with sinners, tax collectors, women, and women of ill repute. By eating with these people, He publicly declared them social equals, giving them value and importance. The social elite of His day hated Him for this. So I want to invite you to begin with prayer, to listen with care, to eat together, and then to serve in love. Don't try to serve like the people in the video. Please don't be that creepy. But get practical. People often feel loved not just by what we say, but by the practical things we do for them. This week, my wife received a card in the mail from someone who just simply said, "Thank you for being so joyful. I've never told you how much that meant to me. Thank you." And it was such a blessing. It was such an act of service that my wife was blessed by. I want to invite you to get practical and look for ways to serve in love. You can also look for those pain points where people are struggling and you can help and support there. Pay attention to people's love language. If they often move towards you with verbal affirmation, then maybe that's their love language. Or if they're constantly offering to do things for you, maybe that's their love language. Look for their love language that you can serve them that way. And then let others serve you. Give help, ask for help, serve, and be served. That's how relationships develop. So serve in love. And finally, share your story and share Jesus' story. And I want to invite you to commit to bless others, to be a blessing, to help them find Christ through your intentional effort to bless others. God bless you. I love you. I so appreciate you joining in with us. I can't wait till I get to see you again next week. And 2 weeks from today is the Rivers Annual Car Show, May 21st. I would love to have you come and be a blessing with us to our community. God bless you. Have a great day.